Dale.
See,
Oh my God.
I knew
Melissa's
it.
like,
I'm gonna stop touching my face. I'm not gonna do anything.
Anyway, I started this podcast because I had this urge for something new and different for my life. Being an RN and whatever. I tried like influencer, shopping influencer. It just didn't fulfill that. And although I do that for fun. Anyway, the ideas just came rolling and I had these visions and then I got in touch with you too. And it just, that satisfied this creative urge that like my creativity chakra just like opened up.
Beautiful.
Started pouring out and flooding my brain.
My yes is because of alignment. This is my year of alignment. I'm not doing anything that doesn't feel is going to satisfy my soul. And I've always wanted to do a podcast, so it was a no-brainer for me. And then to do a podcast with my two comais, which if anyone knows what that is, the two godmothers, besties of my boys, each is a godmother of each child. And we have just a lot of fun things to talk about and serious things and all the things. And I think we can bring a lot of, have our voice and put it out there. I think we've developed a lot of wisdom over the years and we're fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my yes.
When you texted that to me, I was like, yes, like right away. And I just feel like this is my yes year. I keep saying that. I'm like, whatever comes my way, I'm going to say yes to it. I've learned how to say no over the years,
Mm-hmm.
which as a former people pleaser, that's a big thing to learn. And I think now it's like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to just put myself out there. I'm ready to collaborate. So whoever comes forward with an idea, I'm here for it, to support it, to be part of it. And so for me, it fulfilled that. Like I've been wanting to do something. And when you said that, I was like, yes, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, especially we've known each other for so long because I met Sam first. I met her a National Hispanic Youth Initiative. It was just like a week over at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where a bunch of Latino who are interested in health care got together, were sponsored to go to D.C. and just go to like the NIH, and it was interesting. But anyway, I met Sam there, even though
You were
I
in the
didn't
same
really.
group.
Yeah, I wasn't in the same group, but that was the summer of '93, and then I ended up while I was registering on the line for Stony Brook. I saw Samantha, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Samantha."
Yeah, we recognized each other from that. So that was such a weird kind of alignment right there. But yeah.
Then I was in orientation with Melissa, and I remember you had your big ass earrings on.
My Thornackers?
Yeah, you had
No,
your.
these are tiny.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Not yet. They're coming. They're
And the
coming.
red lipstick, you had the red, and your hair was like half up. I'm like, anyway, I was like, she's so pretty.
1993.
Yeah. So we started talking, and then we got together, and then Melissa,
Yeah, me and Melissa knew each other Melissa knew Angel, and Angel's best friend also went to Stony Brook. And I went to high school with Angel's best friend. So that guy kind of like introduced me and Melissa, like, oh, this is my friend, and oh, this is my friend. And then we just you stuck to who you knew.
Right.
You're a freshman, like out there by yourself. So whoever you knew, even if you weren't friends before, all of a sudden you were friends.
Right.
And you just stuck together and you looked for each other. And
yeah, because you had to, go to classes, go to eat, what you did at night. You wanted to be around people that you knew.
Yeah. No cell phones.
Nope.
You actually had to socialize if you wanted to not end up in your room alone.
Yeah. Call from across campus. No, none of that. You walked across campus. Angel, you're coming on.
Yes, he is. I talked to him yesterday about that. He's ready. He gave me his schedule and everything.
Yes. Get his ass on here. My parents are from Argentina. They came over in the 60s. They had my brother over there, my oldest brother, and my middle brother and myself were born in New York. So I'm from Long Island. I'm from Roosevelt, New York. I was born there. Okay. So I'm a wife. I'm a daughter, an auntie, a best friend. I'm a people pleaser, which can be to my detriment a lot of times. I'm creative. I'm a dreamer. That's the Pisces in me. Um, but I do see through bullshit. I just won't tell you. I love to travel. I'm a big foodie, and I have a big heart. I'm an RN.
I am a mom of two teenage boys. I am half Puerto Rican, half Spaniard. Grew up in New York City. I'm going to Puerto Rico every year, so very connected to my culture, which I love. And I'm a sports mom, a travel sports mom, which I love. It's overwhelming at times, but I love it. I'm a Cancer. I'm an astrologer. I consider myself a relational astrologer, so I'm interested in all the archetypes of the signs and the placements, and I'm a therapist, so that speaks to me with being an integrative therapist. What else? I have my own private practice, and I'm very trailblazerish, and I say that because there were times when I just was like, oh, that doesn't align with me, that doesn't align with me, so I'm just going to create it. And of course, it took years for me to step into that. So I consider myself a trailblazer when other people are like, oh, she's doing this and this together. Like no one's. I'm like, yeah, because if I don't feel that I see what I need, I'll create it. And so I feel like that's become my signature. Like I'm doing retreats for women of color, and all the retreats out there, I'm like, none of them align with me, or they only have parts of it. And I want to create it. I wanted to create something that I would have wanted, that I had been looking for.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, and I did go to your first retreat, and it was
She did.
definitely eye-opening. It was definitely a great event. But we got to come back to Susana because I need you to tell your big fat Greek stories.
God. So, from like pre-K to high school, I went every Saturday to the lovely Escuela Argentina from 10 to 2. It consumed my life during the school year. But I did learn how to speak, read, um, write Spanish. So it helped me become fluent in that. Um, so
And you
that's
got a
my
degree too, right?
I did. I got a degree. I graduated from there, that high school, even though it was only a Saturday. So it's like I went to high school in Argentina. Yeah, man. Because it was just, I had projects and, I had homework. And every Friday night, I'm like coming home from school, and then I had to do homework. And I would let it go until the morning. I'm like, Mommy, I don't want to do homework. Please, can you help me? Fucking oral reports, projects, tests, sleep over at my friend's house Friday night because the next day I had to go to school. Oh my God, it was just, I had a 1 day weekend while all of you got 2 days.
Not me. I was in the same boat with piano and
Yeah.
cello. Yeah, I played the
Oh.
piano and cello, and I was constantly in a lesson. I was constantly practicing. I was constantly, um, well, I mean, I did go to sleepovers and stuff, but I mean, everything had to work around my orchestra, my lessons. I played the piano and cello for 10 years, and I ended up going to LaGuardia High School.
Mm-hmm.
So high school was like half of the curriculum was your major, which for me was the cello. So I had like orchestra, ear training theory. So it was a great experience, but I was also busy too. Like sometimes we wouldn't eat dinner till 8 o'clock at night because I had lessons and whatnot. Like yeah,
Melly's classes were like fame because she went to fame.
I went to sing.
They're all dancing on the.
Yes, people don't realize that actually happened. I mean,
That's
like
Really.
how school
obvious
was.
people. Yes, school was like fun. Like people would be singing because there was five majors, so there was vocal, instrumental, drama, dance, and art, right? And the dancers would be once in a while you'd see someone doing some ballet move in the hallway. Another
Mm-hmm. They're
time you'd see
practicing.
we had an amazing gospel choir, so they'd be singing in the hallway.
Oh
They
man.
sounded amazing. The jazz musicians, sometimes somebody would bust out with a saxophone and like start playing in the hall. I mean, really, it was
Oh,
wonderful.
I
It
would
was
have
so
loved that.
wonderful,
I should
and
have
it was
gone
It's
there.
fun. And it was like people were so into their talent that I don't think we had the typical high school nonsense that other high schools have
Mm-hmm.
because we were busy, so we were
Mm-hmm.
like busy with our major. So that was a really nice experience,
I
really
love
cool
that.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
so by day, I am an athletic trainer, and for those that don't know what that is, um, it is the healthcare professional for athletes. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades. We're kind of like a doctor, a nurse, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, an EMT worker, an administrator. And with the day to day, we wear different hats. We're their parent, we're their best friend, we're their counselor, you know. Um, so that's what I do by day. So it depends on what sports season I'm in. My schedule's always all over the place. I can never make plans during the school year. But I love it. I kind of came into that profession by accident. I did not play sports. My athletes ask me that all the time, and they're like, "Well, how did you get into this?" And I say, "A series of poor choices." I'm married with two teenage girls in high school, and they are very strong personalities. So they are, I always joke that they're kind of, one is my good side and one is my evil side, but you both can tell that they're my daughters because they're big personalities like myself. By night, I would say I'm a meditation teacher. I got into a whole spiritual journey less than 10 years ago. And in COVID, I decided to become a meditation teacher. So I actually went to school for a whole school year, and it was a lot of reading, and it was online, and I was in school with people all over the world, which was an amazing experience. Really opens me up into my healing journey, and I've tried all different types of modalities, and I've taken classes and workshops to expand on that. And I actually have the same group of people that have been with me since 2020, and we meditate every week virtually. So we call it like our own little church there, where it's like a check-in and kind of set ourselves and ground ourselves for the week. And we've learned a lot from each other all along the way. So as I was learning to become a teacher, and I was like, "Hey, I'm starting this. Anybody want to join?" And whatever I learned, I taught to them, and it's just kind of molded into that. So I think, I am kind of on the fence of wanting to change careers at this stage in life, right? We're all turning 50 this year. That's a big deal. And I feel like I'm still young enough to change, but I'm older and wiser, so I don't have to make poor choices. I'm at a huge transition phase. So I'm excited and terrified, like with anything in life where you're changing.
That is terrifying, but shoot, you just dive in. You're just gonna dive in
Yep,
to those
I know.
terrifying moments.
Well,
Change is
I
good.
often contemplate that at work. I'm like, do I want a dramatic exit or do I want to do this the smart way? Because they're always like, oh my God, Samantha, you're so dramatic. They're like, can you be any more dramatic? And I'm like, yes, I can, actually.
Like I said, I'm a big dreamer. Always have thoughts in my head. It's very frustrating when I can't get them out the way I want to. Like my wedding, I've dreamt forever. I didn't know who I was getting married to, but I knew I wanted
My
to. I
cousin.
love aesthetics. I'm always looking around. I'm always noticing everything. I'm just very creative. I'm also empathetic. I feel all the energy around me, all the energy. Sometimes it's overwhelming and I have to retreat. Like my friend is going through something or something like that, I can feel with them and be there for them. But it's a blessing and a curse. And I'm very quirky. I'm funny. You look at me, you probably wouldn't think I do half the things I do.
We know.
Like,
We know.
I present all, dress nice, and then I'll just drop the fucking F bomb. Like,
So much for the blank slate. So, wait, the reason I say that is bullshit. Because therapists, we used to be trained to be a blank slate. Like this, like, and I'm like, and I'm here doing a podcast, which I may actually put on my professional page because I don't have a personal page on Instagram. So, but in the year of alignment, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and my clients love the unfiltered me anyway. So, I'm gonna go with it. So I consider myself very authentic. It's something that a lot of people have told me, which I know that it's been a theme in my life to want to be myself and feel like I was too much or too big or um and I think I've stepped into that in the last few years, that, there's no other way to live. So I would say authentic, keeping it real, being herself. I would say very empathetic. I'm a social worker. I have a big heart. I cried when Jaws was killed, in the movie.
The movie Jaws.
God, that's funny.
Like Susana, I'm a Cancer, so I feel everything deeply. I'm ruled by the moon. I'm an astrologer, so like I've learned a lot about myself, which is why I love it. Um, and so I've learned how to, so I'm very empathetic. I'm very compassionate to the point where I feel so deeply for the underdog, especially. So I'm a hardcore social worker against racism and all the isms, and many other isms. And so I am proud of that. And I've brought that into my life, into my work as a mom. And I'm also a trailblazer, as I spoke of earlier. I love, I have developed the authenticity and confidence over the years to create what I feel is needed. And it's been successful so far. So I feel like that's a big part of my work, but also in life, just to be myself and to just speak on what is in alignment with me. And if it's not mainstream, that's even better. That's pretty much me. I love to travel and I love, as you can see, astrology, and I'm deeply spiritual, which has really helped me a lot. So
Can you bring that into your practice, the
I bring
spirituality?
that into my practice. My practice is very integrated with traditional talk therapy, but also with spiritual practices like just getting into your subconscious, into your heart center. So utilizing hypnotherapy, meditation, but also astrology, which is a spiritual practice. People don't realize it, but it is. And that's what aligns with me, all of that. Um, Kind of getting into the subconscious to really bring out what you're really experiencing or feeling, because I think that's very important. And so when I started the retreats with my friend and co-facilitator Ida, we wanted to bring also, so everything I just spoke about kind of came together with the retreat because it was like we wanted to bring in the spiritual piece. We call ourselves soulful. I call myself a soulful therapist, a soulful psychotherapist, because I'm holistic and believe in mind, body, spirit, but also bringing other things that you can tap into to really understand yourself better. So the other piece to that is the spirituality, but also the spirituality that we were taught was demonized from like Christianity. So I wanted to bring the Caribbean, the Latino, the African influence. So we had a drummer. We're doing another retreat in May. So we have a drummer, a percussionist, and our communities healed, and our communities, our backgrounds healed in community. They had women's circles in general, and they danced and they sang and they played instruments. And so we bring that to the retreats because that's part of healing. So yeah, the integrated approach. And there's so much value in therapy because you're giving yourself 1 hour a week to really work on yourself. It's not just like, oh, I know that about myself. No, you're actively working. So I love the fact that I've learned how to integrate everything. And the trailblazer part of me, when accused of, oh, that's not therapy, I'm like, well, the person's healing, so yes, it is therapy, and it is part of healing. And the isms part of me that is against the isms, all the systems are built on white supremacy. So we were trained under the scope of what a white society, an American society, views as important, which is an individualistic society. So you're not taking my communities into account when we're healing in community, when we're healing together with music and all these other practices that are downplayed. So that is why. But now it's everybody loves it, and it's up. It's not even up and coming. It's here. So really, that's the newer, or not even newer, but that's what I've stepped into in the last few years.
Yeah. And being a participant in that, I thought it was very, very good. Gave me a lot to walk away from and self-reflect and think. And being an astrologer, right? So when we were talking about this podcast, we've been talking about this for months because when was it? January that you texted us, right? So we're in April now. And so it's like, well, let me look at the astrology and see when we can start this podcast. And it wasn't until now. And why? What was the reason? Because Susana and I were going through a transformation in March. Remember?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
She said, you two are going through something in March, so we can't start the podcast till April.
Like she was right. I think we all were. That was a rough
I
month.
was turning
But
50.
I know.
I consult with my own astrologer as far as dates for the retreats, dates for anything important, big.
Yeah.
I've learned how to do that and it worked. It worked.
Mhm.
I'm not 50 yet, just so you know. I'm just kidding.
Sam and I, whatever. Both of us in March turned 50. Yeah.
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 And I also consulted with my astrologer Amber on today's date. What's a good date to launch the podcast to have our first episode?
Yeah.
Nice. I know that was very interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, guess I better buckle up for March.
Yeah. March just
So
came and went.
I know. So I'm glad that month's over.
Hmm.
But three things to describe myself. I think my main character trait is that I'm quick witted. And I
Hmm.
thank God I am because it
Hmm.
makes work so much more entertaining. But I always have one liners. My athletes are always stealing my one liners. I even have a coworker that has a list of my quotes in her phone because she goes, oh, wait, that's good. I have to write that one down. She literally writes down the things that I say in the training room because it's funny.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you need to get into your villain era. Like when somebody's coming in, they're like, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, oh, honey, you haven't reached your villain era yet. Just wait.
It's so fun.
So yes, my 40s was my villain era. So I'm always like advocating for that. Um,
That's funny.
I think the second thing I would say about myself is that I'm very compassionate. I would forgive a fly.
Mm.
I have the capacity to hold somebody in their most ugliest moment and sit with them in the dark and hold their hand and not try to make them feel better,
It's your
but
Scorpio moon.
actually, yes, actually witness their pain, understand it, and sit with them in it. Yes, that's my Scorpio moon. Yes, I'm an Aries, so I'm like, I got the Aries and the Scorpio, which are two super intense signs. but
Yeah.
but I think, and it makes me a good meditation teacher because I'm able to hold that space for people and in their healing journey. And it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because even though I can be very empathetic
Hmm.
towards other people, I always feel lonely. Like I don't get that same
Hmm.
thing back, right? Like
Right.
who takes care of me, who supports
Right.
me, who holds me, so
Same.
it's a blessing and a curse. And then, even in my field at work, because everybody that comes in, it's Sam, I need this, Sam, I need this, Sam, you get like compassionate fatigue, where it's like you're giving all day. And then at night, so meditation really helped me to kind of regenerate myself, ground myself, where I'm not over giving of myself. Like I know when to take a break. I know how to take rest. So meditation actually really helped me with that to balance it out where I'm compassionate, but I'm coming from a whole place, not from an empty cup. And I think the third thing I would say, because everybody says this to me at work, is a leader. I think, I am a boss at work. I have my staff, and even in my friends and family, they're always calling me saying for advice or what would Sam do in this situation? Or I had to call in my inner Samantha because I had to confront my boss because I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm the one who'll take the bullet for everybody else. Lord knows I've reported not my boss, but my boss's boss to HR twice for my office.
Wow.
So I'm the one that's like, whatever. But I think for me being a leader, I always think about, well, what would I want as a boss? And I come from that place. Like, I want guidance. I want somebody that's resourceful. I want somebody that's supportive. I want somebody that understands what the job is and does their job. There's many leaders or many bosses that don't do their job,
Hmm.
right? They don't fire people. They don't, and it makes things harder, So I always think of, am I doing my job? Does my staff think I'm doing my job?
Hmm.
And I always joke. I always tell my staff all the time, I'm like, my next life, I am not going to be a leader because this is bullshit. And they're laughing and they're like, but you're our fearless leader. And I'm like, oh,
Great. I need to drink from your cup, Sammy.
yeah. Yeah. So I would say, it kind of incorporating those leadership skills on a daily basis. Same thing with my kids. My kids are like, you're my person. Like when something's going on, you're the first person I call, which I love that. Um, But, it's also making them, like, don't be a follower. You got to be a leader. You got to be the one that initiates, building that confidence as a woman.
You're warriors.
In the field that I'm at, I work with all men. And so, for me, it's like, you got to have big dick energy because they're always got penis wars. And I walk out all the time because it's always, they're either measuring their dicks, they're battling, it's always a dick measuring contest. And I always walk out. I'm like, I don't got a penis. So I'll talk to you guys later. One of my assistants goes, that's because you have the biggest dick here, Sam. Yeah, so I would say that I would just put, those are my main character traits.
And they're all you, and I love them.
It was funny. I was ironing, so Haven's promised today, so I was ironing her dress, and then I was ironing my clothes. Mark comes in the room, and I'm ironing my pants. He starts laughing at me, and he's like, "You're ironing your pants for a podcast?" And I'm like, I'm not ironing for the podcast. I'm ironing because I'm ironing my whole clothes. Her promise today, we're going to be taking pictures and stuff, right? Not for the podcast. I'm like, what do you want me to do? The podcast in my underwear? And he starts laughing. He goes, no, I don't want. And I was like, you want me to go pantless? And he's like, no. He's like, put the pants on. I'm like, okay. Imagine, I do have pants on.
Sex and dildos and dick size and the pool that's out there. Like, is it good, Melly? Is it good?
This stage, or even just our friendship as it's matured, and your lifelong friends, you're on this soul journey together. Mm-hmm. And like, you're close to me and you're close to Susana. I think Susana and I are not as close as like you are to the both of us, but like, we're soul sisters in that sense of like, we have that deep compassion, that deep empathy, and coming into who we are. And I think that's the one thing I look forward to in the 50s is, I always say, like, I lived in my masculine era and now I'm kind of transitioning into my feminine era. And that's what my 50s, that's the theme of my 50s, is me coming into my womanhood. Like, no one showed me how to be feminine. I've been surviving my whole life. And so now it's like, well, what does femininity mean? What does healing mean? What does spirituality mean? What does it to mean to soul connect? And I think that that's a beautiful thing to do in this podcast, is to connect that. I think there's so many people suffering or lost and they don't know what to do. And I think I know I do that on a daily basis at work, where I bring life experience to bring perspective to people where we're more similar than you think. And I think that's a beautiful thing to show, especially when we bring people on here where we can hear about their journey and their healing and their life and what they bring to the table, what they bring to the culture, all of that. It all kind of stems, it all connects.
And on a final note, we should share that we are doing it up for our 50. It's not like back in the days where, oh my God, we have to talk about the Latina mother at 40. My mother, who's Puerto Rican, was told somehow in her culture that at 40 they had to get that little haircut with the little curls on top, all shaved back. Oh yes, girl. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah, but it wasn't just her. It was every other Puerto Rican woman who turned 40 something. Like, they went and they cut that hair and they had it on, and she had beautiful hair. So, no, we're not doing that. And so, our generation is more like 50 is the new whatever.
I 50 and fabulous.
50 and fabulous. And so I just feel like I'm excited. So we're gonna do a big trip, and it's not just the three of us, it's seven of us. So we will talk about that in a future podcast, but the friendship that we've made for the seven of us who went to college together when we dormed at Stony Brook University, and we're still friends to this day. I mean, when we've all experienced baby showers and bridal showers and weddings, and we were bridesmaids at each other's weddings, and then the funerals started, the parent funerals, and I'm the first with the spouse funeral. I mean, and everyone shows up. Everyone shows up. We don't see each other all the time. We're spread out, but we all show up for each other, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So we're gonna do it up this year, and we're going away for our 50th all together.
To Italy
in August, and we're going to the Amalfi Coast and to Croatia. So I am super excited.
And we'll do a podcast there.
Latina Loud.